a pilot program that has made 5 bus routes free, aiming to expand access to public transportation across the city.
미국 뉴욕시가 대중교통 이용 확대를 위해 5개 버스 노선을 무료로 운행하는 시범 프로그램을 시작해 운영하고 있습니다. All right, so tell us what's happening in New York then.
Yes, so this is actually quite good news for people taking public transportation, because if you go to New York, there's not that many. Well, there's a lot of cars, but in fact, if you ask the person next to you, the majority of people would say that they either take the bus or the subway to work. So this is actually good news for them. So the New York State Governor, Kathy Hochul, and the state legislature required the MTA to launch the program as part of the state budget. This was actually approved back in May. And the legislation came after transit advocates lobbied for free bus services as a way to make this kind of mass transit more accessible for low-income New Yorkers.
And when you think of New York, you think of, the money-making companies and
Yes,
the people there
definitely.
and everything. And to have free transportation is really
definitely.
interesting.
The prices in New York are actually skyrocketing. And if you think about how they have to pay for everything and then taxes on top of that, well, I mean, of course, everyone pays taxes, but in the United States, it's kind of an add-on to the consumer prices that you see.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a big burden for a lot of people living in the city. And so that's why there's not a lot of people actually living in the city. They live outside of the city and commute into the city.
And as you said, people working in New York say it doesn't make a lot of sense to drive in New York.
Yes.
Because the traffic congestion is so bad.
Exactly.
You're probably not going to get to point A or point B, wherever you're going, in time if you drive.
That's right.
So it's much better to use public transportation.
And no parking either.
Yeah, exactly. So this is going to be beneficial not only for the users of the buses, but also for the environment as well.
That's right. So definitely, this will hopefully better the carbon emissions for the entire city as well. So the routes were chosen based on ridership, how many people actually ride on these routes, the fare evasion, service adequacy, and then equity for low-income and economically disadvantaged communities. So the overall routes and access to employment and commercial activity.
Right. I understand the fare for buses
Yes.
is roughly around $4. But now, you're going to be able to get on some free buses, at least for now.
Yes, think about $4 and the conversion into Korean won.
그러니까 우리 돈으로 한 4,000원
That's more,
정도였다고
actually.
하더라고요.
Yeah,
예,
5,000,
정확하진
6,000.
않지만, 네. 근데 그거를 이제 지금 일단은
Yeah.
파일럿 프로그램을 통해서 무료 버스라고 명시가 된 경우 무료로 탈 수 있게 되니까 경제적인 효과도 물론 있겠지만
Definitely.
환경에도 좋고요. 네, 표현 보겠습니다. This is going to be a pilot program that's
Yes.
run.
So a pilot program itself is a program that is being operated by either a government or a company to test out a program that they have. So if they want to spread this out citywide, they still have to try it out on a trial basis. So that's why it's a pilot program.
Right.
You'll see this often.
Yep.
And for the verb, you can use operate too, but you usually use run a pilot program. So if you see pilot program, you just immediately attach run.
And the example that always comes to my mind when I hear pilot program is the sitcom Friends.
Oh, yes,
You know,
that's right.
It went on for 10 years. It was a huge success. But of course, right at the start,
Yeah.
no one knew how it was going to go.
That's
so they had a
right.
pilot program. And then ever since that, the rest is
10
history.
years.
But then in relation to that particular
Yes.
sitcom, of course, we have some very sad news that
Definitely.
came in. Chandler Bing,
weekend.
Matthew Perry, sadly passed away recently.
Yeah.
So we do send our condolences
We
and
do.
Our deepest regrets.
He was my favorite character among
too.
the 3 male characters, but rest in peace.
네, rest in peace indeed. 자, 이 파일럿 프로그램, TV 프로 특히 이제 시트콤이나 드라마 시리즈 같은 경우에 처음부터 다 제작을 하는 게 아니고요. 이제 그 시범 프로그램을 하나 먼저 내보내고 반응을 보면서 약간 tweaking,
Yeah.
살짝 수정을 할 수도 있고 아니면 그냥 취소할 수도 있어요.
That's right.
반응 안 좋으면 네, 그런 것들이 파일럿 프로그램 TV에서 말하는 것이고 자, 여기서는 이제 버스 운영이니까요. 버스를 시범적으로 이렇게 무료 운행을 좀 하겠다. 그리고 run이라는 것이 우리가 달리기뿐만 아니라 운영하다라는 뜻이 있습니다.
Yeah.
The next expression is access to something.
Yes. If you have access to something, that it means that you can actually see something or you can go into something. You can have your hands you can get your hands on something if it's actually something physical. So it means that you can approach something as if you are allowed to.
Yeah. access는 접근이라는 뜻이 있는데 무엇에 대한 접근할 때는 access to something이라고
That's right.
합니다. 예문은요?
Yes. So once you've signed the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement, we will give you access to our files.
그럼 NDA라는 게 뭐 비공개 약정서 같은 거죠. 그래서 NDA에 일단 사인을 하면은 우리 파일 접근하실 수 있습니다. 이 말은 이제 이 파일 보실 수 있습니다라는 뜻이 되겠죠. You'll have access to the files.
Yeah.
다시 읽어보겠습니다. The city of New York has been running a pilot program that's made 5 bus routes free, aiming to expand access to public transportation across the city. And let's move on to